ever yearned and longed for a flying DJI O4 Pro air unit? No? Me neither. However, WalleFPV have, and they brought us the Eagle2. Let's take a look. This tiny little drone uses just 45mm props. There's been a lot of discussion and discourse on my Instagram and YouTube Shorts channel as to just how little protection there is on this really expensive DJI O4 Pro camera. And as somebody who looks and considers the QC as to how well protected the camera is on these O4 drones, I get it, I really do. But I think a lot of you are missing the point on this. This is literally a flying O4 Pro. You're not going to bando bash it. You're not going to do anything stupidly crazy with it, although I did twice. So the level of protection comes down to the level of risk you're going to put it through. And the fact that it weighs so little, I think it's about 90 grams with the battery. We'll double check that later on in the video. The inertia is not going to be massive when it does hit. We've done a top speed test and it hits 64 miles an hour. So again, 64 miles an hour at under 100 grams isn't going to be that bad, but it is, don't get me wrong, it is sticking out quite substantially there, isn't it? Let's be honest. So that is a concern, that is a worry, and we've got to ask ourselves the question, like, are we really gonna, I don't know. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to add a GPS to it. I'm gonna show you how to set it up, and then we're gonna take it for a long range flight. Now, all I have is these GNB 380 mAh 3S packs. So quite how long range, I don't know. Drop a comment or drop a guess in the comments down below how far you think we're going to be able to push this bad boy. I think all in all, it's going to be, obviously it's not going to be a really, really long flight, but we should get something out of it. Grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack. Over the next 15-20 minutes, we are going to review this bad boy. We'll take it to a few different places. We'll fly it in a few different ways. We'll show you the top speed test. We'll take a look at the QC and we'll answer the question, with that little camera protection, is this really a drone I'm going to be able to recommend to you? Let's freaking go. So the Wally Eagle2 then, the lightest and smallest equipped with a DJI O4 Pro FPV drone out on the market today. That is a bind and fly. I'm sure some of you geniuses out there who can design your own frames will probably build something a little bit lighter. However, this is probably going to be as small and as light as you're going to get, really, with semi-decent protection. Now, this particular flight, I fly around a playground, as you can see, and we do some gaps. These would normally be sort of reserved for a tiny whoop sort of play. Sorry, Jesse, a whoop that's tiny playground. But obviously, this thing is so nimble and so agile. We're able to sort of throw it around up high and then drop down low and go through gaps. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you to the rest of the footage now. Then we'll switch over to do a weight check and a QC check, and then stick with us, because at the end of this video, we're going to take this thing long range. That's right, 45mm props, a 380 mAh 3S LiPo, and I'm going to take it long range. And I'll be honest, you'll be surprised at just how far this goes. Now, I know Newbie Drone did some pretty crazy things with an analog drone. You've got to remember the weight of the DJI O4 Pro is a lot more than an analog quad. So the fact that this does what it's about to do is amazing. So stick with this video until the end, because that's going to be after the QC and after the weight check. Peace out and enjoy the rest of this flight. Oh, and as a really quick side note as well, I have made a separate video of how to set it up and also how to install the GPS as well. I'll show a quick sort of max speed test in a second as well. But yeah, that'll come in a separate video. This is just pure entertainment and vibes. Enjoy. So let's check the weight of the WalleFPV Eagle2, and the drone itself weighs 78 grams, and once we place a 380 mAh 3S battery on there, we are coming out at around about 109 grams. For anybody that doesn't know, the UK is implementing remote ID as of next year, and that will be at a limit of 90 or of 100 grams. So we're going to have to shave 10 grams off this. Realistically, we can't remove that battery, so we probably have to look at carbon fibre sides. Be interesting to see how it goes and whether or not anybody does actually get under that weight limit with something as capable of this to circumvent that remote ID requirement as of January 2026. So taking a look at the QC then of the WalleFPV Eagle2, and we can see that the solder joints on the motors are very neat. We can see that the we can see the motor wires are taped down to the arm with fabric tape, looking lovely. You can access the O4 without any problems. If we turn it onto the top, this is the Flyfish M10 Nano GPS that I've installed. It actually fits the width perfectly. I've had a few people ask me whether or not, or what type of GPS it is I've used on this. So I'm going to leave a link in the description down below just to make it easy for you guys. This is the ELRS, of course, and we can see that everything is installed here. If you were to buy a plug and play version, then it's just a case of 4 screws here and plugging in your power cable, which will already come sort of pre-soldered on it. We've got WalleFPV 10002 14,000 kV branded motors, which all look very nice. We can see at the rear of the quad that we've got an XT30 and obviously the capacitor. Now the only thing really to note, obviously you can access your O4 there. The only thing really to note is this camera protection. Now if you flatten this camera out, you do get a little bit more protection once you sort of level it up with this, virtually making it completely flat. That's probably the only thing. I had a look at it and you can sort of shift it back a little bit. They could have perhaps moved it back a little bit, but it's such a small build that realistically we can't really hold that against them. It is literally just an O4 Pro with 4 propellers, if I'm going to be totally honest with you. Underneath there is a slight issue that I do want to raise, and it's these screws here. The battery obviously pushes through this holder, and because these are raised up, you actually find that the battery pushes against them. So you can see there, look, the battery's now pushing against that. That could be a problem in a crash, although a crash with this isn't going to be particularly heavy. However, if we do get a version 2 or a revision to this frame, what I would like to see is all of these screws being essentially countersunked so that it's flat, completely flat, and it just takes away that concern that maybe more inexperienced or newer pilots might have. Apart from that, I've got no complaints whatsoever with it. It is an absolutely brilliant quad. Let's check the noise. The max speed test then, and I did challenge you guys on my community post and Instagram to guess the exact speed that we reached. A lot of you got within 1 miles per hour of it. A lot of you were quite surprised at just how fast this thing actually goes. But on the next run, or the next couple of runs, you'll see that we actually hit 64 miles per hour. Now, as regards for the GPS, I used a Flyfish M10 GPS Nano, and I will leave a link in the description down below. It fits the top plate perfectly. There is a bit of jello on this flight. Obviously this is unstabilized from the goggles, but it was also there was quite a side wind on this particular day as well. But there is your top speed test of the WalleFPV Eagle2, the lightest and smallest DJI FPV O4 Pro. I've forgotten how to say words. But that said, please do stick with us, because the next flight up is going to be the long range one, and you are not going to want to miss what goes down on that flight. Peace out. Another day and another stupid idea here on Squadding Quads. This is the WalleFPV Eagle2. Essentially, it's a flying DJI O4 Pro. It's a DJI O4 Pro with a couple of props stuck on the side of each corner. Crazy, absolutely crazy. So what I'm going to do, obviously something like this is not designed to fly long range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see exactly how far I can fly. I've got a GPS. It's a stupid idea. Drop your comments down below how quickly you think I will lose sight and connection to this thing and never find it again because it's so small. Let's go. So we're here with the WalleFPV Eagle2 and we're going to try and fly it long range with a tiny 380mm 380 mAh 3S. Probably the stupidest thing I've ever done, and I've done some stupid things in my time. And I can't remember where the battery voltage is. We're pulling 2.5 amps. We're at 3.9 volts. Now the good thing with this is we're at 25% throttle. We're not going to get anywhere near a decent long range effort. However, this is a tiny, tiny quad that's half the size of my hand. And we're going to get a decent distance with it. .8. Currently flying at 22 miles an hour. There is a slight headwind. As we make the turn here, we'll find out exactly how much that headwind is affecting us. 27 miles an hour. Drop down to 16 miles an hour there, just tilt forward a little bit. 3.7 volts. We may get a couple of laps in here, which I've got to be honest, whilst it doesn't seem very impressive, for something so tiny, to be flying so capably and so far away. I've got a little bit of interference from the right hand side. We've got to drop to 35 megabits because of these smaller antennas. I suspect we'll just move away a little bit. Okay, 3.6 volts. We've got a speed now 21 miles an hour. I think we're probably only going to get one lap, I've got to be honest. But who would have thought years ago you would have something so tiny and so capable? It is absolutely unbelievable. Genuinely, genuinely unbelievable. I'll push it as far as I can. We're pulling 2.5 amps, 2.7 amps as I increase the throttle slightly there because of the wind. I didn't actually put a total distance flown on this, which is a bit annoying. But I can tell you now, once I go behind me and take a long sort of stretch behind me, this will be a kilometre. So I'm not going to take it all the way back up there because, as you can see, the battery has depleted to 3.5 volts. So we've done a full lap and a little bit. By the time we land, I'm going to say that we've done a mile for a quad that's so small, with a 380 mAh battery. LiPo, not Lion. Absolutely unbelievable. Genuinely, genuinely unbelievable. I could not have dreamt of this just 12 months ago. 3.44. I'm going to bring it back purely because I don't have the actual total distance flown on the OSD, so it's a bit pointless to kill a battery just to say we've flown far, but I guarantee we have flown over a mile there based upon the distances that I know. That is absolutely incredible. So then, that was the WalleFPV Eagle2. A really capable and surprising drone. Let's just recap what we've done with it. So we've taken it to 64 miles per hour. We've flown it 1.15 miles on 45mm props. We've weighed it, we've QC checked it, and I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely amazing. Sure, there is the issue of you don't get a lot of camera protection, and that is, like, I'm not going to lie, that is an issue. But for what you're going to do with it, it's going to be a park flyer. It's going to be more of a chill flyer, more of a cinematic flyer that you can also freestyle, that you can also send a bit of a distance away, that you can also rip round a park. You're not going to smash into anything really heavily and really quickly. So whilst I would have preferred the camera to be moved back, and there is a little bit of room there, if we look, we can see that you probably could have shifted that camera back a little bit further than it is. All in all, yes, I absolutely can recommend it. It has genuinely shocked me just how good this drone is. It's been incredible fun. It's incredibly capable. It's incredibly lightweight. It's incredibly quiet. I actually ripped it around the park at 9 o'clock in the morning, whereby, let's just say if it was later on in the day, the Karens would all be there. There was quite a few Karens there, but none of them even noticed it. I'm not saying it's silent, you know, it has got a bit of a scream to it, but like, yeah, so fun. If you're somebody who is brand new to the hobby and is worried that you're going to crash, but you want a small drone, perhaps not, if I'm honest, perhaps not because of that lack of protection. But if you're able to fly a drone without too much of a problem, and you can land it and you can take off and you can successfully navigate, and you're looking for something really small for 2025, amazing. It does, I think, come in just over the 100 gram regulations for the UK. We're about to get remote ID as of January next year. The limit will be 100 grams. So I am going to revisit this shortly and see how we can get it under that 100 gram weight, because once we can, and it's no longer in that remote ID bracket, I think it becomes even more useful. Really great drone. Thank you so much, Wally, for sending it me. They did send it me for review. They didn't tell me that I had to say anything. There was no talking points. No payment has changed hands for this. And there is a link in the description down below if you want to pick up one of your own. I don't think it's an affiliate link. I honestly don't know, but if it is, I will mark it as an affiliate link. But as you know, that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is being honest, and this is so much fun. A pocket rocket in 2025. Let's freaking go.